Good afternoon and good morning to those of you who are potentially on the West Coast, and thank you very much for joining us. My name is Leanne Alport, and I am the Senior Sales Support Specialist at Aspira Retirement Living. The team members I support are responsible for helping seniors make the important decision to enter the next stage of life, one we hope will start at Aspira Retirement Living. I would like to take you through this presentation today. I'm pleased to introduce to you Michael Mollica. I hope I said that right.
Yeah.
Michael is the founder and senior advisor for MGM Financial. Mike has over 20 years experience in financial services. Today, Michael is going to share steps to help simplify the complex by working through all the stages of life and sound financial planning. Michael will help you create a plan to ensure you don't outlive your hard-earned retirement nest egg while discovering the affordability of retirement living. As we move through the presentation today, please feel free to pop in any questions you have into the chat. We look forward to hearing your questions and comments. Now over to you, Michael.
All right, thanks, Dan. Thanks for the introduction, and good morning and good afternoon, everyone who's attending here today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about, I have an agenda which I will go through and talk a little bit about what we do, but also some of the cases that we work on with some of our clients on a regular basis. Let's see here. There we are. So the agenda again is a bit of an introduction about what we're talking about today, who I am, the partnerships, who I work with, some of the suites, how everything works when it comes to retirement living, overcoming fear when it comes to the financial aspect of things, some of the numbers, and then some case studies, and we'll open it up to some questions at the end. We do have a dialogue box open, so if you do have questions along the way, please place them in the dialogue box and we'll address them towards the end. All right, so who we are, MGM Financial Group is basically a holistic financial planning firm. And what that basically means is that we look or we work through all aspects of your financial well-being. So from things like your net worth, your banking, to your cash flow, to things like taxes, retirement planning, healthcare initiatives, making sure you have proper documentation when it comes to your wills, power of attorneys, things like that. So we may not be that individual, that group that actually does all those things when it comes to the legal side or the tax side, but we do address things that may be missing in your overall financial plan. And that's what we look at, is making sure that you're addressed, everything's been addressed right from A to Z. So that's what we do. This is myself. So I've been in financial services now for a little over 20 years. I worked at a number of different firms before venturing out and starting MGM Financial back in 2009. We are a boutique shop, and we serve clients throughout the country, rather. I would say throughout the Lower Mainland, but throughout BC and Alberta and throughout the country as well. We do have a number of different designations, all specific to the industry. I'm a certified financial planner, chartered life underwriter, chartered investment manager. I'm a family enterprise advisor, which is all about intergenerational wealth planning, which is very similar to what we talk about when it comes to estate and retirement planning, and what that looks like as we transition our wealth, our resources, and things like that to the next generation. I'm also a cash flow specialist. So you'll see on this slide a number of the different accreditations, but also the associations that I belong to. So our partnership, so we are independent. So what that basically means is that we hold our license with a dealership that is recognized throughout the country. We are affiliated with Investment Planning Council, which you'll see is a part of a larger organization. You may recognize some of those names that are on this slide here, but we are the independent investment arm. What that basically means is that so we hang our license, and they give us basically full autonomy to do what we need to do for our clients to make sure we are holistic, we are independent, and we have no outside influence basically directing what we do here. So we are aligned with a big organization, but we are independent with them. All right, moving along. So we're going to talk a little bit about retirement living and what independent living suites are all about. So there are many suite options. And obviously, if you do want more information, I do like to talk to the Aspire Living team, they can help you with that and what that looks like. But the prices or how things start off is from about $3,000 to $5,000 per month, depending on the suite, the community you choose, what exactly features that you're looking for within that. Second occupant, again, is about $700 per month. And again, that varies by community. So that may change depending on where you are and I guess the needs of the suite and the individual itself. So looking at this, it's a lot more affordable than I ever thought, to be honest, when I first started working with this team. So you have some full independent living with, in my mind, a pretty reasonable price range. So there is different communities, and there's a little link on this screen that will help you get there. But if you do have questions, please reach out to the team and they can kind of direct you to the right community that's right for you and within the location you're looking for. Okay. So common things that are included within your suite is the housekeeping, daily 3-course meals, emergency response, which is very important, especially if you are dependent on some sort of support, be it mobility, be it a number of other different things. Things like entertainment, amenities, shuttle service to get you around are also included. All your in-suite utilities, your heat, hot water, hydro, things like that. Wi-Fi, internet, and cable is not included in all locations, but it is at some. So again, depending on where you're located and the community that you're interested in, or you're looking to find out some more information about, obviously reach out to them. They'll tell you what is available. And laundry facilities are available as well. Again, if you are looking for a full list of amenities included, reach out to the rep and they can talk to you about that further. So one of the things that we talk about, and we've done presentations in the past, is the biggest thing about overcoming fear. And the fear is basically, will I outlive my money? And that's a common thread, not only in the fact of, independent retirement living, it's more about in general. I mean, when it comes to retirement planning, that's one of the biggest fears that anyone deals with, regardless if you are living on your own or independently with a community like these guys. So the common questions are, can I afford to live here? How do I get started? Will I have enough? And can I still leave money for my family? So can I afford to live here? Again, we're going to walk through a couple different scenarios, and based on what I showed you in previous slides, it is relatively affordable. If you compare, community living versus what you're doing today, it's really not that much more. And you get all those other features included, which I think are important to be aware of. How you get started, it's very simple. Just reach out to the team. They'll give you all the information you need and find out what is the best plan for you based on what you're trying to achieve here. Not only the community that you want to, potentially live in, but also what does that look like when it comes to the costs? Will I have enough money? And those are some things I'm going to mystify as I go through some of the cases with you later on in the presentation. But those are things that people need to be aware of. How do we make up the money to be able to pay for this? And I can help you walk through that. And then also one of the biggest things that we come across is some of our clients want to make sure that, yes, we want to potentially go into these communities, but also I want to be able to live some sort of inheritance or some leftover money to my family at the end. So again, I can help with some of those questions here. So I'm going to run through some of the numbers and use some common retirement income sources. Canada Pension Plan, or CPP. Most retirees or people looking to get into communities will receive some sort of pension from the government. And the range typically is about $727 a month. That's the average, to a maximum of about $1,253. So $1,253 is the max, and the average is about $727. Along with that, you have also old age security, or OAS, which currently is about $754. So combined, you're looking at around, if you're looking at the average CPP as well as what OAS would be, you're looking at about, let's call it $1,500 a month. Okay. If you're getting the max, then you're getting closer to $2,000 a month. Okay. So that's from the government of Canada sources. Another thing that we talk about is your retirement income fund, or RIF. And those are things where typically if you've saved into a RSP in the past, At a certain point, at the age of 72, you do have to convert that RRSP to a RIF. And at that point, you do have to start pulling money out of that RIF. And there is usually, some people take it as a lump sum annually, or some people take it as a monthly income source. You know, most of my clients, we like to do monthly because it gives them a little bit of stability, and that monthly paycheck is nice. Okay, so that's another income source. Company pensions. So, you know, people who've worked for the government, maybe they're a teacher or other institution or other company that's been around for many years. Maybe they're a union employee. If retired, they may have a company pension. So that's another source of retirement income. Again, what we do is we want to make sure we compile all the different sources together and making sure we know what's coming in to be able to make that decision if, you know, retirement and community living makes sense for them and they can afford it. Okay. Some other sources are rental properties. So people, you know, have maybe potential properties, more than one, and those rental properties are sort of maybe cash flow coming from there, a principal residence as well. People have talked about, you know, borrowing from their homes. It can be just borrowing from a line of credit. People talk about reverse mortgages, things like that. It could be other investment accounts and just savings account in the bank. You know, some people have substantial savings sitting in their bank account that they can use to fund some sort of retirement living. So these are the various sources. There may be others, but these are the most common that we come across. So some of the numbers that I want to run through, you know, I'll run through a few different scenarios. And I think one of the biggest things that we see people doing is a sale of a property. You know, if they are looking to, you know, join or become a part of a retirement community, basically, you know, most of them sell their homes because it's not required anymore. Because the idea is you sell your property and move into a community. And some people want to know what sort of income, what does that look like if they do sell the property. And I ran a number of different scenarios for specifically, and I ran some figures here and I've highlighted there in the red circles. And from a starting investment balance of about 500,000 to about 2 million, and depends on where you are in the country. I think we've addressed, or we've touched most areas from coast to coast, regardless of your place is worth, your principal residence worth 500,000, or if it's, you know, in the million range plus. But I ran through a few different scenarios, and what this screen or what this slide shows is that how much money or how long will your money last if you were to pull out a certain amount of retirement income. Okay, so I'll run through one scenario. Through a couple of scenarios. So let's assume you do sell a property and the net proceeds are 500,000. Okay, and if we're investing that money and getting a rate of return of about 5%, which is quite common these days because interest rates are a little bit higher, so your rates on return are a little bit better than they were maybe in previous years. 5% on 500,000 gives you a decent return. Now let's assume you needed, so that the return on that would be about 25,000. Okay, that's basically just what the income is that you'd be receiving. But let's assume you needed annual income of 60,000. So you're making some money within the rate of return, but also you need a little bit of the principal to pay for this retirement living. And what we did here is we assumed $5,000 a month, which is this annual income figure of 60,000. Okay, and we just added an inflation rate of 3%. Again, normal inflation is about that, so we're looking at numbers that would be around that range. So basically saying if you had a property of that you received proceeds of 500,000, you needed $60,000 a year or $5,000 a month, that money would last you about 9 years. Okay, so you know, looking at where you are, if you decide to get into a retirement community, that would give you 9 years. So if you're in your 70s or 80s, you know, that's just something to consider. Okay. As you increase the starting investment balance, you know, what happens is that the money will last longer. And that's basically what happens here. So again, I'll use a scenario of $1 million. A similar example using the same sort of rate of return is about 5%. So your investment alone return will be about 50,000. And if we need an annual income of 60,000, that means the bulk of our money that we need to pull out of our investment will be made from the returns that we're receiving. So you're only pulling a little bit of the principal out of the account. And that's why you're having that much longer time horizon when it comes to the money lasting that much longer. So if you were to sell a property and the net proceeds were about $1 million, you needed $5,000 a month or $60,000 a year. That money would last about 20 years. Okay, so if you're looking to get into a community in your 70s, this will last into your potentially your 90s, and in your 80s, last you to your, you know, figure 100 plus. Okay, and obviously as the income or as the starting investment balance increases, this basically allows you to have more of a longer tenure of your money lasting, and anywhere up to 34 to 50 years if you look at 1.5 or $2 million. So again, these are some of the figures where we kind of demystify, saying, okay, if we have this investments, we can actually put this to work and actually get some sort of annual income to be able to afford to live here. And this is again only the sale of a property. We haven't taken into account the other sources of income like your CPP, like your OAS, and so on and so forth. I'm just going to turn the light on here quick because it got dark on me for a sec. Bear with me. We have automatic sensors in the office here, and if there's no movement, the lights do turn off. So I apologize on that. Alrighty, so moving along. So I'm going to run through a couple of case studies here. And these are real life clients of mine. I work with the parents as well as the children, and I'll run through a couple of these scenarios. So case study one, I have a husband and wife who 88 and 85 respectively. They're both very healthy, but they're getting older and they're just having trouble moving around. Okay, they're each receiving CPP and OAS for a total of about $3,200 per month. Neither of them have any other savings or investments, but they had a mortgage-free house worth about $1.8 million in Mississauga, Ontario. So the two adult children are very active in the parents' lives. They help, you know, with maintaining the home, taking to their appointments, such and such. Okay, so you know the adult children are finding it a little bit more challenging to continue to keep up with not only maintaining their home but also taking their parents to the respective appointments and you know running most of their errands, because you know they didn't drive anymore, and that was one of the biggest challenges. The mobility was challenged. So this is the scenario of the case. Now I'll kind of run through some of the numbers. So what they found was it was once they got the parents kind of involved, and they said, you know what, this is probably a better option if we were to look at some sort of community to be part of. And both parents thought that would be a great idea, and they decided to proceed. So what had happened is that they sold their home for about $1.7 million, which is the net proceeds. And what they did here, this is something that they were really focused on, is wanted to make sure that they split the money in half to each of their adult children. So what they did is basically split the 1.75 into each of their children. So what we did here is that, you know, the dad and the son were joint on investments, and the mom and the daughter were joint on investments. So we split the money up in half, so it was over $850,000 each. But the idea was that the income that was received on this money was to pay for the retirement living. So what we did is that the parents lived in a suite together. So the rate for that was just a little over $7,000 for this specific community that they were part of. And the money that we sold from or received from the home, plus the income they were receiving, was substantially more than what they needed to pay this monthly rent payment. Also, if we take a step back and look at the slide before, they earned a little over $3,000 a month from CPP and OAS. So they really only needed to make about $4,000 a month on their investments to be able to afford here. So what we did is we checked off a few boxes. We found them a residence that worked really well for them. They had now a community that they could be a part of. They had some friends. They were doing more things that they were doing kind of prior to becoming a little bit more immobile. So now they have some friends, and they now the kids go visit them there, and they've seen they're a lot happier, and there's more than enough money for not only them to afford to live there, but also their inheritance fund has already been taken care of. So when the parents do eventually pass on, the kids will receive the remaining share, and it's already been divided between the two kids. So I thought that was really, really good. So the second case study here, this is another one. This is a widowed client of mine. She was a little bit younger, so in her late 70s. but her health was deteriorating, and it was deteriorating quickly. And her income sources were from CPP and OAS. She was also receiving her late spouse's teacher's pension, and then she had some RIF income. So she had an RSP that converted into a RIF of about $4,000 and change. So combined income there, she was earning just shy of $6,000 a month. So pretty good amount of money. She had a clear title principal residence in Vancouver, and it was worth about $1.5 million. And she only had one son, and the son lived about an hour away from her. So unfortunately, he wasn't as close as they both would like to help with the maintaining of the home and just being around to help her with certain things. So they got talking, and they thought it was best to start looking to some sort of community. And they found that was really, really good for them both. And basically they moved in. Again, this was more of a fact of, what do we do now with this principal residence? I have one adult son. What do we do here? I mean, the income that she received through her pension and CPP and OS was sufficient to fund that retirement community. But we also decided it was best to sell the property, because one less thing to deal with when she does eventually go. And there was a couple of reasons why they did this. One is that they wanted to get into a retirement residence to secure a spot, because again, as her health was deteriorating, they wanted to get that seat, because the community that she chose, there was an opportunity for full-time care as well. So that's one of the things that they liked, is that here's an independent living space that they moved into, that also gives them the opportunity to go into a place that has a little bit more full-time care. So they sold the home for a little bit more, also $1.6 million net proceeds. And what she did with the money was distribute to her son, her grandchildren, some charities. And basically what we did there was, again, checking off the box to make sure that she's in a residence that she wanted to be in. It was actually closer to the son, which was great. And some of her estate planning and some of her wishes were fulfilled while she was alive and current to make these decisions. So that was another case that I thought was pretty successful and for all parties. So I'm going to pass this back over to Leanne here to talk a little about can I afford retirement living?
All right. Perfect. Thanks so much, Mike. Amazing scenarios, definitely some that I've seen in my sales support role. So this is called the monthly cost comparison. So we usually give this out when someone first comes in as inquiring, but we also have it on our website. So you'll see the link attached, which everybody would be able to go to. And this just gives a really fine breakdown, mostly so that people can realize that retirement living is more affordable than they realize it is when they break everything down fine like this. So it goes right down to like trash removal, taxes, transportation, insurance, all that kind of stuff. So definitely a helpful tool to be able to recognize that retirement is definitely more affordable than they realize. Okay, back to you.
All righty. So we're going to open up to some questions. I'm just going to look to see if we do have any questions. I don't see any come through as of yet, but I'm going to open up to the floor here and see if anyone does have any questions that are on the list. I don't know if we can just type in within the chat box, or if we want to open it up, allow people to speak. If there's anything that they want to do, or anyone, I see there's a couple of attendees here. So if you guys do have any questions, please let us know. If there's no question, then we can just reach out to the team afterwards. There's an email, there's the phone number. You can reach out to us and we can kind of go from there. And if I'll leave it for another couple seconds if I don't hear. Hi.
Hello, I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Thank you for allowing us to speak. Sorry, I had to shut my office door because I'm at the office. I didn't realize that we could speak. I was just going to put something in the chat. But first off, my name's Felicia, and I'm very grateful that I did see this link and that I've joined. This was a wonderful, healthy presentation, and it's comforting. I'm 57, and I've got my mom in a long-term care home right now, and she's in her early 80s, and it makes me think about my future and what's going to happen to me, and to afford some type of living in my retirement years. This is really comforting to hear this presentation. I'm definitely keeping all of the contact information together because I'll reach out. I just wanted to just pay a compliment of how impressive this is, and more people need to hear this. The case studies were really helpful for me.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your feedback and your comments. I mean, I think this is important. One of the conversations we've had in the past while working with this team is about that, because it's an education, and that's what we want to do. Is the presentation is the purpose is really to educate, not only like you said, you're living proof. You have a family member that's in a retirement community currently, and in yourself, that's something that you see what it's like, and it's something that you can look at yourself, right? So it's one of the things that we can talk about. And the sooner you start looking into it, I think the better it is, because again, I think for me, more knowledge is power, and the sooner you get this information, the more informed you can be when you decide to go whatever direction you want to be in. So I think that's great. I do appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Yes, and just one other thing, it's making me think, because what I'm trying to do is I'm managing my home, I'm managing the long-term care home, and my father. I've kept him in his family home because it was very emotional, traumatizing, heart-wrenching to move his wife away from the family home. He's
Yeah.
alone, that I didn't have the heart to sell the home right away too. But hearing this is very helpful to help me make an informed decision of what to do with his home now, that
Yeah.
it can be possible to sell his home and look at these different scenarios, and where all the sources of income are coming from. And, as I think now, is it Leanne? Yes, Leanne, your slide saying that it can be more affordable than I really thought. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks again for your comments, and we're here to help. Both myself and the team here are more than happy to help you. So thanks for the comments.